Wait a second, Minecraft's new fog update? It's actually even crazier than we thought, and is Mojang actually about to update Pillagers? Maybe even add the Illusioner at last? What's good, Waddlers? It's me, the man from the new Minecraft cape, except turned sideways. Minecraft's newest snapshot, they said it was small, but there's actually so much here. Bowtie, oh, he's so sweet. Inside of the snapshot, Minecraft, textures, GUI, sprites, icon. No, I almost had it, guys. I almost had it. A HUD, locator bar, dot. Inside of the snapshot, still, the bowtie thing persists. Huh, now look, initially I thought it was a hint, then I thought maybe it was a small thing that Felix left in the code, but like this meme, guys, I think maybe we're so back. I mean, I just don't get it. Usually, inside of a Minecraft update, random stuff that isn't being used is not just left inside of the game. Maybe it'll take the devs a couple of weeks to remove the bowtie, but I mean, it's been that already, a couple of weeks. I'm starting to think that maybe the bowtie is going to be used for something in the future, seeing as that it hasn't been fully removed. What do you think the bowtie is? Some kind of single player functionality for the locator bar, or literally just an Easter egg to drive me crazy? Tell me about it down below, and while you are, gosh, you know, it would really make me look like this guy right here if while you're at it, you make a quick stop at the like button too. Ah, yes, the Illusioner. Inside of the game's files for probably over a decade now. Long time. This thing is dangerous with a capital D, so I wouldn't even dare putting this thing inside of any of my creative worlds even. But maybe that's all changing soon. Reading between the lines a little bit here, based off of what's been going down in some of the recent snapshots, on top of the Bedrock Dev Conference that recently happened, we could be seeing setup for a future Illusioner update, or at the least, more new Illagers. Let's pile this stuff up a little bit and take a look. So always in the lifespan of Minecraft, but especially in this modern era, reading between the lines and taking a look at the technical changes the devs are making, while being extra intuitive is a great way to be able to tell a little bit about what the devs might be adding next. A pretty recent example of this is what I was just showing you, the rideable component being implemented into the game weeks before we knew about the happy ghast. This was about flying rideable mobs, and same thing happened with the leashable stuff before the leash upgrades. Now our first stop, and admittedly weakest link in our new Pillager update theory here, involves the Minecraft movie. As we know, something gigantic from the Minecraft movie. Alright, it's slightly different in game than how it was in the Minecraft movie, but I mean it's pretty much there. Ghast, especially with this boat update, flying rideable creatures, that's from the movie. While not necessarily inside of the Minecraft movie, any specific new type of illager was shown. Illagers, time and time again, both inside of the movie and just the further Minecraft game-o-matic universe, illagers are a pretty big deal. With the addition of the flying ghast stuff, perhaps Minecraft is trying to tie in their whole universe more than ever before. Now jumping ahead here to the most recent Minecraft snapshot, 25W19A. Inside of this snapshot, interestingly, Vexes have a brand new component. This new little update to the Vex here, that actually has to do with its owner. So check this out, when this baddie summons in a couple of Vexes right there, well technically, you are the owner of those Vexes flying around. Yeah. Well, you see, in previous instances, let's say you summon some Vexes in and then I decided to back out of the world. Or let's say somehow I was able to take you out and the Vexes were still lingering around. Well, yes, Vexes lingering around is correct, but there were some cases in which the Vexes would linger around maybe a little bit too long. Well, in order to get around and smooth over some of this buggy brokenness, Vexes will now have an optional owner field inside of their entity data. That means that yes, technically, if you have access to commands, you could modify a Vex and have yourself as the owner of this thing. A personal, flying, insanely dangerous bodyguard, if you will. Perhaps new functionality just to get around some bugs here, but why these specifically? Like with an alleged happy ghast update release date quickly approaching here next month in June at some point. I mean, we're taking a look at a bug that has been in the game since the Vex has been actually inside of the game. Like, sure, it's always great to squash bugs, polish the game up a little bit, but why the Vex and the Illagers specifically? Now, on its own here, I wouldn't really think too much of this bug fix. Maybe it's just, you know, like I said, a little bit of smoothing out, polishing of the game's mechanics. But this change here, it's really not on its own. Throwing things back a snapshot or two now, it was not too long ago that we had an interesting, curious bug fix when it comes to the Woodland Mansion, aka the home of, well, I don't even gotta say it, you can put two and two together. It's interesting because we now have ourselves a solid handful of bugs all relating to these bad boy types of mobs. Quite more interesting to me, all of the bugs that are being fixed are not necessarily new ones. These are things that have been sitting in the game for a hot minute now, and really, to be honest, it could still sit in the game for a hot minute unless a bigger change is coming. Now, another pretty major part of the newest snapshot is a gigantic shift to projectile targeting in combat. I'll spare you all of the technicalities, the juicy ones of this combat projectile update. Just keep in mind that the Illusioner, I mean, it's all about projectiles. Hold still for a minute. What the heck, huh? Yeah, the Illusioner's big, bad, dangerous trick here, the party move, is, well, splitting itself up into a bunch of different entities, and maybe one would want to be able to land shots a little bit more dedicated here with those entities splitting up like that. Then, for today, last but not least, I like to throw it over to the creator camp that recently took place. Now, at this creator camp, like we talked all about in this video right here, the devs basically gave us a roadmap as to the technical capabilities that they have been working on for Bedrock Edition behind the scenes that are coming to the game sometime soon. One of the big parts that we took a look at here is entities and different functionalities coming to the game soon. Now, the devs, they kind of left a lot of this stuff maybe intentionally vague, but one of the big things they talked about was client-based rendering. Or, in other words, in more simple terms, let's say maybe I was running around inside of my world and only I was meant to see something. Say, maybe an Illusioner that somehow duplicated itself 3 times over, 4. Well, yeah, maybe this is all tied to that client-based rendering stuff. Only I, perhaps, am meant to be able to see the Illusioner clones because it's targeting and trying to fight me? I don't know, and I guess technically nobody does because this thing was never fully implemented into survival. We don't know the entire vision. But we do know that the devs have said before that eventually, they'd like to implement this thing. So, I don't know, with all the changes that have been going down in the community recently, and heck, maybe even for the Happy Ghast update, an update that could definitely benefit from even more features while we're running out of time, could Mojang finally be about to do it and maybe add the Illusioner properly into the game? Whether whatever these changes are all piling up to comes to fruition in this update or not, I do think it's at least a little bit curious that there's been so much focus on polishing up the mansion, Illagers, and things like it recently, right? Happy Ghast snapshot? Well, it actually changed and improved the Happy Ghast even more. Here I am on top of a Happy Ghast. If I leave the game right now, and then jump back into the game, now, more consistently, will I not have to worry about glitching straight up through a Happy Ghast. Basically, the snapshot makes the Happy Ghast head a little bit more solid. The dried gas block, take a look and listen. When I hit this thing, it's an instantaneous break block. So with this thing being an instantaneous break block, that means I don't really need a sound like this, for example. You know, when I'm punching the grass block, like while it's actively breaking? Well, while I'm mining a block, and this goes for basically any block in the game, while you do this mining stuff, there's a hit sound. The dried gas, even though it's an instantaneous break block, it had a hit sound previously. And, you know, the devs don't like to leave completely pointless unused things in the game files, wink wink, bow tie. So in 25W19A, they removed the unnecessary hit sound. Also, if you're one of those players using a Happy Ghast, but you're not alone, like you've got some passengers, well, the view for the ride for the passengers, it's gonna be a little bit smoother now. Oh, now next up, the big one from this week's snapshot, the fog. This fog update here is actually completely game-changing. Taking a look at the fog update in a more mountainous area, and I mean, the difference, it's night and day. But with that being said, how about a little bit of a before and after? I've gone ahead for this video and taken clips inside of the latest snapshot, 25W19A, but also inside of the same seed at approximately the same location inside of the previous snapshot, 25W18A. As we can see here, 25W18A, this whole mountain range area is way less desaturated. In fact, desaturation, in my opinion, that's probably the best way to talk about this fog stuff. The fog effect basically starts to slowly desaturate and almost put like a little bit of a hazy field over blocks that generate off in the distance. Now, another shot that I thought might benefit from a little bit of a before and after is deep down inside of the caves. How it's looking right now, which to be honest, I'll be surprised if the devs don't end up touching this up before they end up releasing it in full in this next update. But anyways, how it's looking right now is we are way more light down inside of the cave. It's kind of crazy compared to before. And I mean, yeah, like that's insane. The caves are way darker. Look, I know this isn't even like the largest cave that you can find, but seriously, this is kind of crazy. Like, you wouldn't even really necessarily need something like night vision any longer to be able to see the ores on the wall. I mean, I love this stuff, like I really do, but at the same time, I can acknowledge that maybe it's a little bit broken and might make caving, especially when looking for things off in the distance, a little bit easier. Doubly, especially if you're friends with the spyglass. Now, before and afters aside, I like the aesthetic of this fog. How about some different locations? playing around with the weather a little bit here. As we know, we talked about it in the snapshot video. When it's raining, the fog is going to set in and get a little bit thicker. So that all is going to beg the question, what in the world will happen when we are inside of the snow? How does the fog behave here? And, well, pretty much same thing. The fog sets in and makes the world definitely feel a whole lot darker. Off in the distance, like things far away, definitely get a little bit more difficult to see. But not gonna lie, the things also getting harder to see could kind of be because of all of these beautiful snow particles popping up in front of my face too. Next things next today, I saw at least one question about a larger structure, like say, the trial chamber. So there are definitely instances inside of a trial chamber in which blocks can extend pretty far away here, and when they do, I mean, it's a lot harder to notice when you're down inside of a structure, thankfully, but you could definitely tell here that off in the distance when inside of a structure, that haziness is actually setting in as well. Like, pay attention to the lower spot down there as I start to back away into the hallway here. You can really see that it's... Alright, well, maybe not really see, but you can subtly see this thing getting a little bit more hazy. Another thing that this whole fog stuff kind of completely changes and makes way easier to see is simply spectator mode down under the ground. While flying around in spectator mode, I mean, I can see the cave so much better. A structure like, say, the mine shaft down here, I mean, yes, the fog kind of sets in, but also, at least from my experience here, the fog looks a little bit more intense when it's actually, like, you know, lightened. That all amounts to the changes here, to be honest, not being the most noticeable in the entire world. Here we have another big old giant cave, and I am just so obsessed with like looking at how the caves are changed with this fog here. It totally shifts the vibe of these things and makes it way easier to see. But so far, we haven't even checked out the largest structure in the entire game. How about the ancient city? Because this thing definitely gets big enough for fog. So starting things off over here in the middle of the ancient city, we could already see dead center, the fog setting in like hardcore, and even like a little bit of weird coloration effects popping in. Oh, hold on a minute, hold on. Is this because, oh, it's sunset? Oh, that's crazy. You could use the fog to tell the time of day under the ground now. They've got to fix that, right? Alright, so under the ground in the ancient city, with the daytime fully in full swing, you can already see that the fog is so dense. But that's us at a concentric centered location. If I were to move all the way to one far end of the ancient city, then because of the fog, you practically can't even almost see the other side of the city. Like, the fog is really increasing the atmosphere and vibes down here, at least in my opinion. It feels... Yeah, why? Alright. That scared me so much. I'm so terrified of this place. Oh, man. Just moving around down here inside of the ancient city with the fog, like, setting in the background there. On one hand, maybe it's a little bit easier to see, like, a little bit less dark, equally as deep. On the other hand, though... Oh, no, don't do it to me. On the other hand... I feel like the fog is totally adding to the eerie atmosphere down here. I don't even know how I forgot about this. Well, what about the other dimensions? So sliding into the nether here, this is where we're going to need another before and after because the change is so subtle. I think the change is so subtle here because the nether is like, well, we already have this really dense fog, but basically what I'm noticing that is different is very subtly off in the distance here. Like you can kind of notice it off in the distance by the glowstone, but very subtly, I think the distance is a little bit more visible now. Now, another place that I've noticed a little bit of difference when it comes to this fog is out here inside of the end. Now, the end is almost completely unnoticeable, but over here, once we move farther away from the end city, we can see how this thing fades out a little bit more than it did before. Alright, now last but not least today, the ocean. This is such a bad ocean. Hold on. Last but not least today, we've got the ocean. Jumping down under the water here inside of the warm ocean biome, things look way more visible, especially as I sit under the water for a little bit of time. They look way more visible than I could have ever dreamed of seeing before. I'll flash a before and after. Like, I mean, the lightness overlay, the fog update is slapping on the game here. It makes the distance so much brighter. Minecraft's new fog update, it's pretty game-changing, and more pillagers, maybe coming soon. Oh man, I could take a look at Minecraft worlds all day long, but I think that's just about it for today. If you want to see me look at even more worlds, check out the Vibrant Visuals playlist. I'll go ahead and throw it on the end card or something. And tap like, subscribe for more. It's been me, Waddles. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.